Hello everybody, my name is Cilantro and welcome back to Factorio. Last time we did a bunch of sciencing, trying to figure out how to make a sort of resource highway or bus. And we also did some in-game sciencing by doing a little bit of research, finally. So, unsurprisingly, I've very quickly sort of outgrown the resources that I already have produced, so I'm going to need to expand this array a decent amount. But I think I want to wait until I get a better quality of furnace, and I want to try to track that down in here before I dedicate to that. Is it steel? Let's see here. Advanced material processing allows for a steel furnace, which allows for an electric furnaces. Okay, so the steel furnace is what I'd like to upgrade to immediately, as it does provide for a much better and much more efficient smelting experience. So I think we're going to shoot for that here soon. I'm going to let optics finish, and I'm going to go right to steel. I did say it would be a while before I'd really need this, but if I'm going to make a larger material, a larger smelting array, it's going to need the steel furnaces as a bare minimum. Also going to need some stone bricks for that, so we'll have to work on that here. So I'd like to actually get at least some land cleared out or get it ready and set up to create the smelter arrays. I had some kind of crazy ideas for how I could potentially increase the efficiency for these, and I need to do a little bit more sciencing for that, so even more sciencing shall commence. Let's see here. I'm going to need something that'll represent the size of a stone furnace, which is 2 by 2. We're obviously also going to need a lot of belts, so I will do that. I don't believe the stone furnace is part of... Yeah, I don't think the stone furnace is actually part of anything except for boilers. I will be eventually using a bunch more boilers to get more water boiled for the purposes of steam engines, so I might as well make some more stone furnaces just for now. Oh, gonna need some more stone actually. Alright, time to go do some mining, I suppose. I do not believe I have any direct income for stone right now. And actually, I'll check the map and see. Yeah, looks like I only have a few tiny deposits of stone, actually. Hadn't even dawned on me that Wow, I actually really don't have much stone at all. Uh-oh. That's a little awkward. Okay. Yeah. Wow. I've never been this stone starved before. Look at that. I have a very tiny deposit there. I have 3 tiny deposits there. And unless I'm just missing something, that is it. Oh, tiny, tiny ones there as well. I'm pretty sure that's iron. Ooh. This is going to make for a fun time, let me tell you. Oh well, we're dedicated now. Too late to start a new world. I embrace the challenge. Stone is not really overly needed. You don't need huge quantities of it. It's useful for walls for sure, but it's not something where having a relatively small amount of it is going to really kill me in any way. Ooh, hello. Yep, time for stone or steel processing. Actually, while I'm doing this, I will make myself some science. How much do I need? I'm just gonna get like 4 of them total just to be able to experiment with. Should be good. Every extra bit of stone I get isn't gonna hurt anyway, because I will need it. Actually, while I'm at it, I can get some lamps, because we need to get this place brightened up a little bit. I'm tired of having you guys stumble around in the dark. If we're gonna have a crappy temporary base, it might as well be a well-lit crappy temporary base. So my idea here is, rather than using the sort of standard furnace array system, which most people do, which I've done in the past, which is to sort of place them in a line, as you see here, I had a different idea that I wanted to try. And I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but I want to give it a go to see. I want to give it a good, honest college try. And it was it's going to be kind of wedge shaped, sort of. That's what I'm thinking, at least. So let's see here. I think this will work a lot better when I don't need coal for them as well. In fact, it'll probably actually work, period, if I don't need coal for them. I guess we'll find out. So let's see here. Gonna need a few more of those. It's gonna take some experimentation here. So what I want to do is have see here. Oh, gonna need more stone anyway. Where are we? With the... So I'm gonna need, let's see here, 30 stone. Alright. Well, I think in the interest of collecting stone, I don't really need to automate the moving of stone, but I should at least automate the mining of it, since we are going to need some anyway. So I will route some power down to this tiny deposit over here, and I am going to forget all my hotkeys, apparently. There we are. Okay. I'm going to route some power down that way. Down to this tiny deposit, and have this collect for me the materials I desire. There we go. That'll work. I'm also going to need some, let's do fast inserters, why not? Those seem pretty handy. I may even be able to use a similar wedge/arrow design for any of the sub-crafting that I do as well, depending on how everything is organized in my final base. Sure I get an inserter for each of these. And I don't know if this is going to be a more space optimal way to do this, or if I just think it's going to look cool. I'm not sure, but I do enjoy doing things outside of the norm, and I don't think I've ever really seen anybody try to do this sort of design before. And even if they have been, they've just been preemptively stealing it from me. Like, I knew I was always going to make this, so anybody who made this before me just robbed my idea from me and made it before I did, and probably did a much better job of it. Let's make some more stone furnaces. Every time I see the blinking, you don't have any power icon, it reminds me of the original SimCity. So I think I'm actually going to need to move the wedge further back quite a bit. To, let's see here. Here? I guess. I think this will work. Pretty sure this will work. Gonna need 2 more of these. Hey, I said I wanted power. All right, let's Let's make some lights. I know you want to see stuff. How about right here and right here? That'll work, at least for now. And like that. Should work, I think. Should, being the keyword. Did not agree with my assertion that I should be able to place something there. I don't know why this game has to push its beliefs on me anyway. What, am I not allowed to place stuff where I want to place it, game? I see how it is. This may work a lot more smoothly if and when I get the better power lines so I can actually have these run appropriately. We'll make some more of these. So that should work quite well. And have that there. And I think that'll work. Oops, let me turn this around. There we are. So the idea is that I funnel the ore in on two separate lines here, and it should funnel it all the way through to each of these individual lines in a very, very quick manner. And I believe if I need to, I can expand this pretty reasonably well by just increasing the amount of input lines. So if I need to expand the rate at which I can funnel resources into it, it's just a matter of adding more lines to the back. I may have to do a little bit of extra sorting to make sure it all continues to move smoothly, but that could be the case. My only concern with the way that this is set up right now is that I'm not pulling from both sides of each conveyor belt, so this may actually still gum up a little bit. So I'll have to do some more experimenting with it to try to figure out how exactly I can do that sort of thing. And of course the next things I need to do is I need to make a line where I have the coal to actually feed these, and I also need to have a line for the final product to take them out. So let's grab some of these bad boys. Can I put these here? Oh, actually I can put them there, that's right. That'll work even better. If you guys didn't know this, and I'm going to zoom in here a little bit more so you can see it. Whoa, this is kind of trippy actually. I think I'll move out a little bit more. I'd actually just forgotten all about this, but these inserters, if you see how there is a transport belt here, and then the electric pole, and then the fast inserter, the fast inserter will actually pick the items up off of the sort of end of the transport belt, even though there's a small electric pole there. So I can actually use that to my advantage to power these devices by placing these poles in those locations instead of bothering to route them underneath here. If anything, I could possibly redesign this so that it is more, I don't know, more laid out like a, instead of sort of a 2-to-1 ratio, more of an exact actual diagonal wedge, and pull from both sides of the conveyor into each of these given furnaces just for the sake of completion's sake, or possibly even just use a single line to feed two furnaces. May also work out quite nicely. I think as long as each of these is getting their own line, I think that would actually work. So, guess we'll find out. Let me continue to place these to actually empty them, and I need some more iron. So we'll go grab some more iron post-haste. Actually looks like my iron production is not quite keeping up. So I think I will need to increase the amount of iron miners I have here. I'll do that really quickly. It won't take too long, because we are going to need a lot of iron. Oh, one other thing that I'm fairly certain of but want to test anyway is the relationship between crossed underground belts. And it does look like they can cross under each other. Like, having this here does not block an underground belt from going in the opposite direction. So that's good. I wanted to make sure that hasn't changed. I thought I had remembered that from my previous playthroughs of Factorio, but I wasn't 100% certain, so I felt like I should give it a test just to make sure. Okay, I think I actually am going to have these reversed a little bit, or this may not actually work. This is why we science. Yeah, I think it's going to have to be this way, actually. Or maybe not. So I want to have these on separate lines. Well, I may have found a failure in my design already, because the way it looks, I can't actually have these pulling from separate lines with them being this compact. So that's kind of disappointing. Oh, did I make science? I sure did. Look at me forgetting that I scienced. Obviously I need to science more. There we go. We'll get our steel processing going. That'll work. That'll work. How much copper do we have? Ooh, we're producing a lot of copper. That is good. That is good. So yeah, I think this may not actually work as it is. At least not in a fun and efficient way. Unless I could pull something really silly off. Let me try something here. What if I do something like this instead? Nope. That won't work either. Okay, well, I seem to have shot myself in the foot. Alright, let's try Project Widen this thing and see what happens with that. Thankfully all this stuff is pretty easy to move around. It's not that hard to destroy and rearrange something. Woo, steel processing done. Aw, man, need science 2s for that. It's alright. I will need it for the steel furnaces for sure. Smart inserters. Hey, that'll be nice. What else do we have here? Faster conveyor belts, but those cost green. Don't quite have green science yet. Just regular science. Military. Well, we can do electronics. That sounds fine. So let's try widening it. And see if we can have something work a little bit better. 99% of this game is just experimenting with different things. The other thing I need to make sure is that these pull evenly from each side. It's going to be very, very important. So I may need to work on some ways to potentially pull from each side of a conveyor. Yeah, because otherwise it's going to really get clogged up if only one side of these conveyors is actually moving. Break all this stuff down here. Once you get logistics robots, you can actually have them do this for you. You can have them completely disassemble an area, which is extremely nice. There we go. Make the science manually for the electronics as needed. The worst part, of course, is that when I get to the electric furnaces, those actually have to be larger, so I'll have to do a redesign then as well. But not much I can really do about it. Let's see what we've got here. Okay. So I have a bunch of wood that I can use to experiment. So I'm going to set up an unloading station here. Cancel some of these sciences for now so I can make some other things. I'm going to need some chests and looks like some more conveyors as well. Oh, nope, I had another stack somewhere else. Lied right to you guys' faces. I believe these will actually pull the stone from each. Oh, actually this won't work quite right either. Because I need these to be loading on both sides of the conveyors. So if I want to do that, I'm going to have to move them slightly. As I do fully intend on equally loading these, of course. So let's see here. Place that there. Actually, I want to make sure that when I connect these, I'm connecting both of them at the same time so that they all get evenly emptied. Very important to control your variables when you're sciencing. There we go. So I guess they don't load too many up. I also find it kind of interesting because it looked like it was sending one of each to each side. So it almost looks like they filled up separately. That's very fascinating to me. This looks really cool. I got that going for me. Certainly looks pretty neat, so... yeah, I don't know if that's going to quite work either. Maybe there's a reason that nobody does a crazy sideways style furnace array, because it just doesn't work. It's just not quite optimal. I'll have to do some more thinking on this. For sure. I can go back to making my science now. Tear all this down for now. I will likely end up with... I don't know. In my experience, it was just barely possible, and I mean just barely possible, to actually run an entire science manufactory and then some off of a single line of iron and copper. And I mean, I had to really push that stuff in there. So having 2 lines of copper and 2 lines of iron out there to ensure that I have plenty of materials heading out will likely help things run much more smoothly. There's a few other options I could do. Maybe if I just do some smaller scale models of this, I could potentially have this work out a little bit better. Because I actually kind of wonder if I could use the properties that I kind of want to use for both of these in the same way, meaning that I empty and fill both in the same style. So I have them being pulled from the same line and then also placed on the same line. But I guess I have to check the bias of each line to see if that would even be possible. So let me test that really quickly. Let's get a few of these here. Only when I've finally tested all of these mechanics will I truly be able to make a design that I'm happy with. Makes a cool little box at least. I like the little yellow box. It's kind of neat. Whoops. There are. Okay, so that is interesting. So it looks like it prefers the west and north sides of each conveyor when it is placing materials on them. So that would mean if I wanted to successfully cross-fill anything, this is very interesting. Cross-filling would require... Okay. So I would have to, if I wanted to fill either heading to the left or to the right, I would have to fill from the top. Get what I'm saying here? And actually I'm going to test this. Because we test things when we science. I want to see if these actually will cooperate. Or if they will freak out. And then likewise, I will need to do this from the right side. So like this. So if you guys get what I'm saying here, I want to try to find a way to load both sides of the conveyor belt and unload both sides of the conveyor belt by using this bias in my favor. That's the plan, at least. Whether or not it happens is another story, but that's the plan. So let's see if this will work. Let me get all these powered at the same time. Okay, so it looks like it gets a little jammed up. Oh, you know what? I have this backwards. Derp. Other rule of sciencing. Make sure you're sciencing the right side of the sciencing that you're science, yo. Or you're going to have a bad time. That does seem to be working. It gets a little clogged there towards the very end, but it seems to be working. Let me depower and give this one more test. And maybe I'll be able to figure out exactly what we got going on here. Make sure I'm just going to get everything emptied out here. And just for the sake of the video, I'm going to have all these lines merge to the very top to see if they'll flow. Not just flow properly, but actually flow a good distance too. Get out of here, tree. There we go. Alright. Time for the moment of science-y truth. Okay. I think we're in business. It does jam up if it gets backed up, but that's, I mean, that's normal. These lines are not meant to work in such a way otherwise, so I think I've got something here. I'm going to have to figure out exactly how to make this, you know, applicable and replicate this very scenario in a wider range, but it looks like I can pretty easily empty from each side if I do this correctly. I do need to do some further testing on loading from each side to see if it can, if it has a similar bias, which it most likely will. But that's gonna have to wait until next time on Factorio. Thanks for watching.